Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Robert DeLesso, and I'm the host of Rob's Inner Circle, broadcasting worldwide. Well, welcome back from a great vacation. We had a nice 3 weeks off, and we hope that you enjoyed your vacations as much as we did. I want to give the usual shout out to our great friend and producer, Rob's Inner Circle, none other than Jenny Duhame, and to the podcast techie here in our show, Patty, Lady Starlight Saragosa. We have a great show lined up for you guys. We actually have a gentleman who spent some time with David Bowie, John Lennon, Keith Richards. Stick around. This is going to be a really great show. But before we do that, we want to congratulate our good friend, actor, filmmaker, restaurateur, Jimmy Chan, who is the recipient of the Best Documentary Award for his amazing production, Saving Chinatown, Our Heritage, Our Legend, which was screened at the Scotiabank Cinema in Montreal yesterday. This is part 2 of the original Saving Chinatown documentary, which was completed in only 7 months, whereas it took Jimmy 5 years to complete part 1. Pictured here is a bunch of happy guests who attended the event yesterday. We're going to start off with Esther on the far left. That's Esther Brzezinski, my co-host on Noon Hour Out of the Box. Yours truly right beside Esther, and beside me to my left is the man of the hour, Jimmy Chan, and Rob's Inner Circle right beside Jimmy, and Noon Hour Out of the Box producer, the amazing Jenny Duhame. It was an honor to attend such a great event. We'd like to thank you very much, Jimmy. And we would like to wish you much continued success for all of your endeavors. Be sure to watch Daily Struggles, this sitcom that everyone is talking about, on the Rise Up TV channel on the Roku streaming service. Download the Roku app on your smart devices, or you can get the Roku stick at Amazon.ca for as little as $30. Make sure you watch all of our productions on the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel. You want to comment, share, hit that like button, subscribe to the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel, and hit that notification bell, because every time there's a new production coming out, you will be the first to know. Well, folks, it's that time once again. It's time to slip into our weekly ritual. This is where you want to slow things down. Kick up your feet on the edge of the table. Take a deep breath. Take in the good air. Exhale the bad air. Relax, enjoy, and let us carry the load. Folks, it's showtime. It is time to bring out tonight's guest. He's coming to you live from Bridgeport, Connecticut in the USA. He's an amazing filmmaker, and he's also a great producer. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome tonight's star attraction on Rob's Inner Circle, Mr. Richard Oliver. Richard.
Hey, everybody. Hey, how you doing? Rob's Inner Circle. Go, 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 Rob. Go, go, go. Happy Richard, to be here.
Such an honor to have someone who's as amazing on you on our show. It's such an honor, such a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here.
Richard, we want to wish you a happy belated birthday. And man, do you know how to choose the right date to come into this world, Richard?
Yup, with my mate, Rob.
Actually, folks, Richard and I share the same birthday. So we both turned 35 on, what was that, on July 25th, right, Richard?
Oh, yeah, 35. I turned 25. Yeah. I'm 66 now. 50 years in the New York City music business.
Jeez, you got 8 years on me, Richard. Richard, you're an acclaimed music producer and sound engineer. You've appeared in magazines all over. Talk to us about which magazines you've appeared in.
I was in Mix magazine many times, in articles. They even did a feature article on me. It was done by what do you call it? The owner. It's a big music production company. He's also a journalist. He was with me with Jimmy Doherty from the famous Blank and Hip Hip Pocket Studios in the city. He's an old friend of mine. I used to go between there and Electric Lady sometimes. And the author was there when I was with Keith Richards at Atlantic Records just before Atlantic Records closed. And I was in the New York Post. I was in the Daily News. I was in professional audio design. I was in video producer. I was in REP, recording engineer and producer, video maker, because I dabbled in film in between. Sometimes film projects come to me in between records. Like when I worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I was in the studio. I was like taking an afternoon off, and John Van Epps, the famous orchestral vibes player, who's also a producer and a writer, and he was this is a long time ago, of course. He was an expert on the synclavier. If anybody there remembers when the synclav was that big machine, was the original production workstation. And I used to work with Shane Keister, Elvis Presley's last keyboard player, on one of them too, in Shane's studio, where I helped him put together his Neve consoles. And I used to drive for him. He's the one I did Amy Grant's biggest hit for, that I got a platinum record for her Emmanuel. I did all of Emmanuel. We had 3 24-track tapes hooked up. One of them was just vocals, a 24-track of just vocals. We're talking a long time ago, before digital, and I put together all 24 tracks of her vocals, even breaths and everything, by hand. No scrubbing,
Wow.
destructive editing. And I put them all together, her whole on one track of one of the other slave 24 tracks. I put it all 20. I edited breaths by hand too, punching the breaths, by hand. No scrubbing, no going back, and
Wow.
and it became her biggest hit, Emmanuel. I like the old days. It was destructive editing. I remember cutting tape with Ricky from the B-52s when I edited Mesopotamia, and it was you used to have to cut it and tape it up on the wall of the studio, and scrub it and twist the reels at a 2-track, boom, 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 boom,
Wow.
boom, to find the downbeat. Take your grease pencil, mark it, lift it up, put it on a splicing block, take the razor blade to it, slice it, join them together. It was a real process. It was really, man, you had to be good too, man. You sliced that incorrectly, or you used to have to know right where you put the grease pencil mark. Grease pencil, razor blade, and that's how you heard the edits in the old days. Taught me a lot though about doing music today. I took some time off after I was a first responder at 9/11 and broke my back. I had to take time off. I had a broken back.
Into that.
Yeah.
We'll be getting
What's
into
that?
We'll be getting into that in a little bit more detail as we go along over here, Richard. So,
Richard, whatever.
It's not by coincidence that you're 7 platinum records, 11 plus gold Grammy Awards nominee. Now, that's not nothing. It's safe to say that you're a genius when it comes to your craft. So,
thanks.
Which artist is it? Which artist have you produced exactly?
Okay, my platinums came from DMX. I did DMX's biggest hit, and then there was X. 2 from the Rolling Stones. One from Amy Grant. One from little known group here in the Western Hemisphere. It's from under the equator, called Taboo Combo. I did their record Zum Zum. I actually also got a Grammy from that record, but I never picked it up. I was like busy. I was having relationships in the city. I was busy young man. And then the B-52s, and then the Talking Heads. And I'm friends. I make friends. I like people. I'm still friends with everybody I work with. Kate from the B-52s. I was friends with Ricky. David Byrne. we were friends. You know, I hung out one time with Lou Reed and Andy Warhol. You know, Kevin Bacon, Raquel Welch, Bill Cosby. Man, I could just go on. It's a blur in my mind. I did it for 50 years. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? And I was busy. I love to work. 60, 80 hour weeks. Making good money, buying hot rods. Breaking them. Having big apartments in New York City. I didn't hang out that much at clubs and stuff. I'd go like sometimes with Mary, the manager of Electric Lady, who we were good friends. I'd go with her to, real heavy duty, like you see on TV, uh, rich stars and rich and famous, glass restaurants and, overlooking Times Square, glass roof restaurants. I don't even remember where that was. And places like that, and she knew everybody. And I just enjoy life. I just hang out.
Well, I know that you have a huge affection for collectors' automobiles. Is that something? Can we get into that? Because I know that you own some pride possessions. You got a couple of beautiful cars. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So a lot of people are interested in cars. I have a rare 1980 Corvette, and it has a 427 big block. It has
Ooh.
between 600 and 700 horsepower, Edelbrock manifold, headers, Holly. I had it up to 171 miles an hour.
Oh,
It's got posi traction rear. It's got huge tires on it. It's got more torque than a 10-wheel tractor trailer. And I used to drive that in the city all over. And then I have a 1976 Rolls Royce Silver Shadow LB. I used to drive that all over the city too. I had in the city also 1969 big block 1969 Camaro, very beautiful car, pearl white with medium blue
wow.
racing stripes, very gorgeous car. Used to do burnouts on it in Queens, in the industrial district because it was closed up at night, you know. And then I had a 675 horsepower Porsche 944,
Oh,
1983. The guy actually built it, and I bought it. It had an aluminum block, 675 horsepower,
oh,
327 Ford and stroke to 383, and that car went 202. I had it up to 202 miles an hour. I had a rare Porsche, all in the city. I should be crazy driving these cars in the city with the manhole covers and bumps and stuff. But I had a rare Porsche right from Germany, 928 dual turbo, dual overhead cam that they called the Shark. It was a limited production Porsche with a V8 motor, double overhead cam, double turbochargers. And I had and real pretty car, almost as pretty as me. And yeah, that's my joke. And I had that in the city. What else did I have? I had a souped up Porsche 914. I had three Porsches. I had another Corvette, but it was a small block, and I got tired of it. Even though it had a 1,000-watt stereo in it with four subwoofers. In the size of
wow.
a Corvette. So, but it had T-tops you could take off. So, if you were at the park and somebody wanted to hear music super loud, because it was deafening inside. You know, I used to take my second daughter when she was a little 8-year-old blonde imp. She looked like a little fairy. She really did. Gorgeous girl. She's still a gorgeous woman. She lives in down south now with her daughter. And she very makes jewelry, silver and stuff. Anyway, so I used to put her in the car seat in the Corvette, and she'd turn her tiny little head toward me and go, "Daddy, go fast. Daddy, go fast." Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I always used to keep the kids close and teach them things. And I had membership to the Museum of Natural History. I used to take them to Central Park. I used to take them to Sheep's Meadow. I used to take them to Belvedere Castle. We'd listen to Shakespeare in the Park from the balcony of Belvedere's Castle. We'd go to Central Park Zoo. I used to take them, all over with me. My little boy Max, my third child, when he's about 3 years old. One time, some of the members from Wu-Tang Clan came over at my beautiful brownstone in Hell's Kitchen, and Max goes up to one of them, takes his hand, and goes, "Come play basketball with me." I bought him a Lego basketball set. Say basketball. Come play. So he had one of the guys from Wu Tang playing basketball, and then little Matchbox cars with him. So
So, Richard, yeah, let's go back to your childhood. You're from New England. You grew up in New England. I believe you're originally from Bridgeport. You've been there all your life, right?
Stanford.
Stanford. Okay. So tell
Yeah, I
us,
was born in Stanford.
as you were growing up as a child, tell us a little bit. Were there any indications that you may have an ear or a certain taste that for music? Were there any indications that you might be going into the music world as you were growing up?
Absolutely. When I was like, I guess 10, 11, 12, I had a record player. I used to play Jimi Hendrix and stuff. And my two older brothers had all kinds of records like Howlin' Wolf and Green Onions, and stuff. And I used to love playing music and listening to it. And I used to play it for my father, then I started my first band at 12 years old, and failed miserably, playing guitar. I tried to learn Creedence Clearwater Revival, but I had a great guitar player. He was only my age, but he was a pretty good guitar player. And I tried writing songs, and it didn't work. I was 12 years old. The only teacher I had was my older brother Mike before he went to Vietnam in the Navy. Who taught me to play acoustic guitar. That wasn't my bag. I ended up when I was an adult picking up electric, and all my own records that I do. I play all the guitars, and people think it, but I learned from doing like major people like the Rolling Stones, John McCurry from Cyndi Lauper, Ira Seagull. I learned from major people how to do major stuff. So I kind of had a blessed life. I mean, I was a learner, and I was respectful to people and stuff. So that like Tito Puente, you know who he was, right? The famous Latin percussion player, super famous in the Latin community. If you say you work with Tito Puente, they think the sun rises over one of your butt cheeks and sets over the other. And he, one time after I recorded him in the session, he liked my work so much, I was standing, he was, getting ready to pack up his timbales, and he said, you like percussion? I said, I love percussion. He said, you want to learn some stuff? And he taught me some stuff about playing timbales, so I play percussion on records I do. I'm not like a super nuclear musician, to be honest, but I know how to also do the engineering and producing. So, the records I do, I got some songs now that I wrote that the few people that listen to them like freaked, and it's total new stuff. It's like nothing else that's been out there. I'm gonna put them on the movie I'm doing. I got my other little record I did at Electric Lady that's just being released down south, but waiting for a big release with the movie. Like I write like funny songs. I write love songs, but I write like rude love songs, but cool, funny. I had a lot of relationships in New York City. I was in the music business, you know what I mean? And girls didn't think I was ugly, so I fooled them, I was a hot rodder too, Porsches, blah blah blah, I lived the life, and I had so much fun. People 100 years ago, people just get hung for having as much as fun as I have in life, and I've had.
Unbelievable, and we come such a long way. So, tell us, Richard, which rock and Motown artists influenced you the most?
Oh God, man! You see, one thing I did with music, and it was good. I wasn't cornered in like a certain genre or something. so I could listen to Guns N' Roses and appreciate that, and produce music like that, and like Rolling Stones type music, Howlin' Wolf type music, Sly and the Family Stone, Temptations. I worked with Eddie Kendricks once too, and I worked with Paul Oates too, and uh, so I wasn't nailed into one particular genre, and I could listen to like Latin music, like Despacito, and I could get into that. I could get into like Irish music, like the Pogues. So I relate to a lot of different musics and stuff. I even worked with Toots and the Maytals. I recorded them once a long time ago. So I could get into reggae. And I could produce this stuff too, because I understand the genres, and the music and stuff too. That's how I did like the hip hop, with DMX, his biggest song, as I said, that was a rude song, but it was fantastic. It was like, I mean, it's gigantic. I got 5 times platinum for it. 5 times platinum, one record,
Wow,
and
unbelievable.
yeah, and yeah, one of my Rolling Stones is 2 times platinum. I forget what else. I got to catch up with because it's been a while since I checked on what has progressed and stuff too. And it's been a long time. I never really kept a track of that. I wasn't egoed out or anything. I was into my craft. I was a total craftsman, and I also knew electronics. So like in those gigantic consoles, you're seeing like Sting dance. Oh, I work with Sting too. You've seen Sting dancing on, and I think I got a gold record from him. You seen him dancing on in that music video. I used to rule those consoles because I knew electronics too. So another good engineer. I used to be able to take out, because especially English had really good diagrams, and block diagrams, and I understood all that crap, and I understood how computers work, AND gates, NAND gates, OR gates, NOR gates, JK flip flops. I know that crap, you know. I'd read the manual head to tail, and when I was young, it's like the old saying, of all the things I miss my mind the most. But when I was young, man, I could read that SSL book on a gigantic console, read it once, man, and I knew that crap. I knew just how the inserts worked. I knew just where to plug the compressor, because I knew how the block diagram said where stuff was and what the chips were, and how much energy I could put, in dBs. I used to write everything super hot and make it sound really, really good.
We got Ted Stills, who's tuned in. Ted, thank you so much. Ted was on our show, and we have the reverse happening. I remember when Ted was on our show, you came in and you were quite active in the chat. So Ted Stills and you go back a long way. You have some kind of a relationship with our good friend Ted Stills. Tell us all about it.
Oh man, he's great guitar player. He played with me in one of my bands in New York City. Great player. He learned a song in like 2 run-throughs, yeah, he's the guy is brilliant. I mean, you just got to listen to him. He's and he's a nice guy, man. He's a cool dude. He's
On that.
very, very loved, very spiritual. I mean, he's a real man, but he's got like that, that like fat side, I can't say enough about Ted. I like people though, you know what I'm saying? I like you. You're cool. I appreciate you're real good at what you do, so I appreciate, people, are cool, and and that's why I made so many friends, in the industry. Like the night me and Keith Richards hung out in Electric Lady in the hallway on the first floor after we finished our sessions. And we hung out there, drank Jack Daniels, partied, talked about just life in general. The cat is cool. The cat is a real dude. And he said something to me, about life. He goes, some people have money, some people money has them. And
Exactly.
he's definitely one of the people. He has the money, and he's a real. I don't know. I can't say enough. It's not like he's my best friend for 100 years, but that's how cool he was. Like you could hang out with him for an hour, and he knew people too. He saw right through you, And I'd like to be a straight person, so we got along, you
Uh,
know.
we got Black Bass 66. I hope I read that right. And also, another listener who's tuned in, Bruno Delizio, who says, sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for
Yep.
tuning in and for participating. Tell us, Richard, you met with David Bowie, Keith Richards, John Lennon. I mean, these are really big names, and you hung out with them. And
Yeah.
from what you tell me, they are really great people, great gentlemen. Which of
Yeah.
these people here, was the one who marked you the most?
All of them, because I related to all of them. I got close to all of them. I let myself be open so they could get close to me. I tell you a funny story about John Lennon. Me and Mike Mancini went to meet him at there's this little small hotel in Greenwich Village with a little bar on the second floor and a piano, and he used to go there and play and just hang out. So we went there one night and he was playing, and I gotta tell jokes all the time. So he stops playing, and I say, hey, how you doing? And he goes, we shake hands and stuff. And I go, you're really good at that. You should do it for a living. And man, he laughed. Yeah, I can't help it. I tell jokes, so I just I crashed a 750-pound Harley in Fort Lauderdale once at 70 miles an hour. I hardly got a scratch. But I had a digital camera taped to the handlebars, and all you see is me going like really fast, and then all of a sudden you just see like this telephone pole, and then you see the bike fall on its side, and then the camera goes like all fucked up frames, and excuse my language, and like you see, and fake stuff, and then you see me laying there in the gravel, when the camera focuses again, because the Harley Davidson was crashed up on its side. Car pulled in front of me. What was I gonna do? You know what I mean? Lucky I used to race dirt bikes too, so I treated it like a dirt bike, and I stood on the pegs. And I slid around the back of the car, and I slid it over the curb, and I slid it past the telephone pole, but I couldn't. It's 750 pounds. I weighed 165, so I couldn't hold it up and anymore, and I just slid it on its side, got scratched up on the gravel a little bit, and the bike suffered a lot worse than me,
Evil
so.
Evil Knievel the second here.
I used to just live life. I loved it. I was a
Wow.
weightlifter, did martial arts. My brother was heavyweight boxing champion for the United States Navy, and he taught me how to box. Like I said, I used to weightlift, and I worked out with Ray Bowling, who competed for Mr. Universe. But I used to power lift, and he used to lift for size. So I was in really good shape my whole life until, I got whacked on 9/11, but, uh, I've been blessed with atomic health, eating McDonald's in New York City, like 7 times a week, and I got really, really good health and at my age right now, you know what I mean? And after all I've been through, and, I'm look at me. I'm animated. I'm doing a film. I did another record. I'm gonna put these songs out. And these songs, man. I don't like to brag about my own stuff, but like these songs, I listen to them and I say, did that come out of me? And like Shirley and another musician listened to them and they said, holy shit, who's that? You know,
It's me.
can I get a copy of that? Yeah, and I just had this weird sudden inspiration a couple weeks ago, and did all three songs in like 3 days apiece. I don't know, you'll get them, you'll hear them on the movie. We'll see how the movie goes. I got to get back into that fat now. That the pandemic is, pretty much,
Okay, so
you know.
Richard, Let's talk about the movie that you are shooting. It's been a while. You were planning the movie. Now you're in the process of shooting it. So where are you
Yep.
at with the movie right now?
Okay, I did a graveyard scene with two women, one named Julie and one named Donna. And they did great work. They did, and it's a short scene. It's going to be in several parts, but it's so it looks really good. I joke with Mary Campbell from Electric Lady. I joke with her. I said, damn, it looks really good. It was almost as if I knew what I was doing, and she laughed, but, I learned that film stuff too. It's like right now, the lights I got two Klieg lights up here on the third floor in the studio. I got LED, movie lights, and I, for like one thing I learned early, like, during like, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 to making Mr. Right, blah 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 blah. Was you want a good picture, first get good lighting, So I knew what I knew. I learned more. I got real good deal on actual 5300 Kelvin film lights with silver parasols, for diffusion. I got the Klieg lights for, really fat, main lights. I mean, they're just set up randomly right now, but I got the shadow on one side, like you're supposed to do. So when I set it up and the actors got makeup and all, the couple test shots I did in the studio here, because my big Pro Tools studio here is it's fat. It's not big in size, but I got it really outfitted well. Is going to be with my Kurzweil keyboard, and my other keyboard, and my Gibson SG, and my 50-year-old Telecaster, and so the spaceship is going to be controlled by music, so it's going to be really cool. It's going to be, put the landing gear down, hit an F sharp, so it's that, yeah, it's going to be amusing, and
And
it's going to have a lot. Oh,
you,
go ahead.
you were influenced from the movie The Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that spaceship that was making music. So that's a bit of an influence that you brought into your movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna play those notes, when maybe in the opening scene, and because I was impressed by the movie, because da, 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 I mean, come on, this super advanced, outer space race, and they come, and play a synthesizer for us, that's cool. Come on, whoever thought of that was brilliant, and I
Absolutely,
think
I agree.
that impressed a lot of people, and it impressed me. So I'm going to do that just as a, the movie. Everybody said, like the owner of Ripping Yarns in London, a friend of mine, said, you got to do this movie. It's hilarious. It's like going to be worth doing. It is. Everybody that read the script, it's just you see, I tell jokes all the time, and I just really went to town in the script and put joke after joke after joke, and stupid humor like Cheech and Chong, like Peter Sellers, and it works. Yeah, it works, and then Cotton and Zombies, the undead, but film good, and having stuff like that. Chill Trees, who I work with at the Wu-Tang Clan, is going to do some narration. Tom Spahn, the double Emmy winner, is going to do some keyboards. I'm going to have Ted Stills do some stuff if he wants some other fat cats like that, just because they want to do it, because people read the script and they go, Rick, you're messed up, this is, they go, you're messed up, this is great, because it's funny, people read it and I hear them laughing while they're like on the first page, I like that. I like to make people feel good,
So
and
what's wrong?
it tweaks my firm.
Yeah, what's wrong with being creative at the end of the day, right?
It's cool, what else,
You worked on the set of Nightmare on Elm Street, the third movie. Tell us all about the experience. How was it working with Robert Englund, that despised Freddy Krueger?
He's a nice guy, he's the little bit I work with him. He's just a cool guy. And you know, I mostly work again with John Van Epps, who the guy who's supposed to be doing some of the incidental music crapped out. So John Van Epps is all connected, and the big Hollywood guy called him, and you know, that afternoon I found myself John Van Epps playing a synclav and me recording it directly to a 4-track, you know, analog tape machine. Track 1 stereo left, track 2 stereo right, track 3 called a guard band, so there's nothing on it, and track 4 with SMPTE time code to lock it up. We used to lock up with SMPTE time code. There wasn't none of this digital or automatic or like running on the same clock and stuff. We used to do house sync. We used to have to do time code. We used to have to know LTC, longitudinal time code, you know, for like, you know, open reel tape machines and stuff. And then we used to have to know VITSI, vertical interval time code on the video machines. And then we used to know how to lock that up. And every once in a while, like in an ad, you know, the people would mess up and would have to actually go to time code, lock up device and listen and watch the video and slide frames till it matched up right. You know, it was really cool though. You know, it was really like hands on. You know what I mean? It was, you know, so we used to have to, you know, do stuff like that. It was cool, you know, and recording, you know, John Van Epps directly, you know, for, you know, watching, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 on the 3/4-inch video machine that I had locked up to 4-track, you know, with time code, and you know, it all came out right, you know.
Well, great stuff. So, Richard, 9/11 was a huge day worldwide, and you were right in the thick of things. You were involved in a rescue operation. You were part of the first respondents team. Which organization were you representing at the moment when this whole thing took place?
I was supposed to, let me start from the start. So I got up in the morning. I was supposed to have a meeting with Divine and RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. You know, and Divine, it was the 3rd meeting, and he had told me like the day before, I won't miss this meeting. I don't care what happens. Anyway, so I wake up, you know, and I'm with my girlie, you know, and I got Max, my kid there, you know, and I'm, you know, my 3-year-old in Hell's Kitchen. And I get a phone call from Divine, and he says, we're not meeting today. And I go like, oh man, like, of course not. You're like, whatever, you know? And he goes, no, you don't understand. You don't know what's going on. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, turn on the TV. And he goes, I gotta go. I'm on the Verrazano and Narrows Bridge, and I'm caught in traffic, and I gotta somehow turn around. I can't get into the city. So I turn on the TV, you know, and I see what's going on. And I get a call because I'm on a list in New York City. I was on the list for first responders for the Red Cross. So I get a call, and I talk to the guy a bit, and he says, please go down. You know, so I say, okay, you know. So I kiss my girl, you know, I kiss my kid, and I say, you know, hope I'm coming back, you know.
And you have a few anecdotes from that fateful day of things that, you know, some stories that you've heard. I know that we had another guest on our show a while back, fellow, New Yorker at the time, Freddie Rubino. He's a comedian, and he had some stories to tell, like the guy who like would never actually go down. He had to go down on that fateful day to go down and get some cigarettes. And by the time he was out and he wanted to come back in, the building had collapsed. So do you have any stories, any particular events that, you know, that you might have experienced on the spot that you want to share with the audience?
Well, yeah, it was mostly tough shit, you know, because I worked on the morgue, you know, at the high school. That's where I fell down all the concrete stairs. I slipped on guts and went down all the way. That's how I broke my back. And I worked with the triage with the Wyckoff medical team. I worked the North Tower where I was still on fire. I worked the pile, you know, and you know, it was, you know, but you know, you see how I got a good sense of humor, like with the Wyckoff medical team. You know, I was one of the older guys there. Me and this older doctor were the only people there that had a knife, so we were the only ones that could cut open the intravenous bags. and so I forget what jokes I told, but I just keep up, keep the energy going, because you had to have energy there. We work, 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 and it was stuff work that you had to do, could not do it. It's, tough, horrible shit, but
At the moment, did you have some time to realize what was going around, what was going on around you? Did you have some time to realize that, or were you just like so focused on what was happening, like pulling out survivors? Did you actually have a minute to actually stop and think, "Holy mackerel! I mean, this is like really serious stuff over here." You're in the middle of what turned out to be a history-making moment. So, did you have some time to actually stop and think? What was happening, and you were actually focusing and absorbing what was happening.
No, you get numb. You get numb. The PTSD hits you afterwards. But you just like only for a second when the smell of death was so overwhelming, and it's only for a second, and then for another second when this girl came around with Little Debbie's cakes. We didn't have anything to eat or drink. We even had our surgical gloves, and we couldn't even. There was no running water. We couldn't wash the blood off our hands, so we had to go wee on our hands to get the blood off.
Oh wow! And you hurt yourself pretty badly that day. I know you went down quite a few stairs. What happened? What are the events that led to that particular moment where you lost footing and you got injured?
Well, I've always been very astute physically, but everybody was exhausted, unholy exhausted. And I came out of the morgue after carrying like, a heavy, thing of unspeakable things, and somebody had spilled guts on the top stairs. And I slipped on the guts, I know, horrible story, but, that was the reality of 9/11.
Okay, so tell us, you recently. Okay, we're going to get away from those events right now. They're a lot of those events are very gruesome, and it brings back some bad memories. But before we close off on the topic here, I know that I visited the Ground Zero back in 2019, and as I was going through I believe it was the North Tower, whatever is left of the North Tower, you can actually, even though it's something that happened, it's not there, you're not in the moment, you could actually feel the vibes, this tension in there. It's as if even though it happened, there's still something that remains there. Did you get that impression?
Oh yeah. I haven't gone back, but it was like there was, I don't know if you call it an evil energy or whatever. I mean, there is a God or something in the universe. There is a power, there is a force. And I could relate to what you're saying, because it's like there it's we are sentient beings. There is whatever you want to call it. There's some whatever, maybe it's a fifth dimension or sixth dimension or something, with whatever. But you're right, there is something. If everybody says it, it must be true, right?
Yeah, there's just something about that place. It's eerie, and I enjoyed the experience and all that, but I wouldn't want to hang out there too long. I don't know. It's just I felt so sorry for all those lives that were lost, and I have some commemorative baseball caps I bought, the FDNY and the NYPD. So I got a baseball cap from each, the fire department and also the New York Police Department. And a nice story that I have, and it was a souvenir from Ground Zero. So when I came up from there, I went into one of these shops, and wherever you go, any shop you go in New York City, in Manhattan, you got a lot of baseball caps. You got T-shirts of the NYPD. They're very, very respected. So I just, I go, wow, this is pretty awesome. Every corner, there's a cop. maybe you're gonna find two cops in one corner. So I bought the T-shirt and the baseball cap, and as I was making my way, what is it? The stock exchange where you got the bull, and you're right
Yeah.
near the harbor. There's a police precinct there, and there was a SWAT team. So as I
Yeah.
was passing by, one of the cops spotted me. I had the full gear on. He goes, "Hey, buddy, come on over here." So I ended up taking a few selfies with the cops, and that was like
Cool.
one of the freakiest moments. I got this guy who looks like a RoboCop. He's in his full gear, SWAT uniform, and they're wow, this is like really groovy. So that's one of my favorite memories from New York. Actually, getting to hang out with the cops, by the way, and
That's cool.
hats off to the cops. They're civil servants who work very hard, and
Yeah.
I think they're misrepresented in a certain way. They got a job to do.
Yeah.
You can't blame them for doing what they do, and it's the type of job that I wouldn't want to do. And I
No.
lift up my hat to them. It's a tough job what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, Richard, let's go back to the music a little bit here. Get away from
Yes, sir.
9/11. You recently released an album. So tell us all about this album that you released.
Oh man, it's songs I did at Electric Lady. Like I'd get done working on another session, and the studio would still be set up. I'd have it all set up. So I'd take my Telecaster or take a drum machine, or got some live drums done, and did like 12 songs. And they're like really wild songs, Like I just tell you, like the first track is called "My Big Fat Balls," and yeah, oh man, it's a funny song. I have to get that to you too. It's the song, the song just have you laughing, for like, it's just, and so that's the temperament of the album. Even though I have some like rough love songs, it's like in one song, the bridge is this girl, Marie Stout, who was a guitar player, and worked for me for a while. And she's doing a ad lib at the end. She's going, all you want to do is get high and go out with your friends, and so that's the whole temperament of the record. It's just an uplifting record, it's like dark and making fun of dark too on stuff, so it worked out really good. So the little label is going to do a fat promotion of it. Some of it's going to be on a movie, and then how they hopefully he knows what he's doing. I think he does, and I've known him for a while from New York City, and so we'll see how he does with it. Like I told you, I'm not about money. I've got enough. It's easy to talk shit when your belly's full, right? Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. If it goes big, that's great. I like to give money to charity anyway. Like when I was in the city, I did the South Street concerts for St. Jude's, and I'd close up with my band, each night, singing, and in front of 3,000-4,000 people.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun,
So
yeah.
Tell us. Well, I'm gonna give an example here. There's a lot that goes into producing a record. The mood that is created. I'm gonna give you a prime example. We're in the same age group, and we can relate to Deep Purple. Their album that has "Smoke on the Water" as a track. That album was recorded in a burnt down hotel in Montreux, Switzerland, and it was very cold. So that mood of that album somehow transpired, and it was actually put onto vinyl. And you get that feeling that there's something special about that record. When I found out the way it was recorded, I was just like blown away. And that explains what that mood is all about. As a producer, when you're putting a record together, is there a particular theme you go for, a particular mood you want to put in there? How do you go about producing a record?
Okay, I let the song tell me the mood. Okay, even if I'm writing it, I go by what's happening. And what was I going to say that's real important? Oh yeah, I have this saying, energy fools the magician. I don't let the equipment or the plugins or the echoes or the effects. I use them as a tool. I don't let them. I don't think that they're making the record. I'm making the record, and I have this thing I do when people claim my digital stuff sounds good because I record analog on digital. Like I have an analog compressor. I have an analog mic pre. I got two of them actually. One of my mic pre's is actually from the original Electric Lady console that a lot of people don't know about. That was called a Data Mix, and I actually have one of the modules with a mic pre in it that I use. One of them that Jimi Hendrix actually used. So I run that into my analog compressor. And I set up analog, and I just use digital as the capture medium. And then I use the effects and stuff too. I like effects. I'm good with effects. People say to me at least. But I'm making new sound records though. I'm not trying to make something that has already been done or something. I'm letting the force be with me. And that's like the new songs I did.
Always.
Yeah.
So you lived in England for a while. What is it that brought you to London, England?
Work. I did a little bit of work there. Then I liked the place. I hung out. I made some friends. Robin Lumley from Argent and stuff was my friend. He introduced me on the phone to Graham Chapman from Monty Python. Also, I worked here on Yes is another platinum record. I forgot about that. Yes Songs. Anyway, so I met Neil Kernan on Yes Songs. He was the sound guy, the live sound guy for Yes. I met him again in England. He was a friend of Robin Lumley's, of all coincidences. So, I'd hang out with him. Robin Lumley, like I had told you, one time I was at Robin Lumley's apartment and the phone rings, and Robin goes, he's very popular. He's funny. Oh God, he was funny. Well, he goes, can you get the phone? I pick up the phone and go, hello. The voice goes, who is this? I go, Richard Oliver. I'm a friend of Robin's. Robin's tied up right now. I go, who's this? And he goes, oh, this is David Bowie.
Oh, wow.
and just like that. And I go, oh, hi. And I'm not starstruck. I work with enough people. They're just people to me. They just happen to be stars. I take them on their value as, a sentient, human being, and David Bowie's just a really nice, mannerful guy. We just had, like I had with Keith Richards and Dave Byrne and blah, 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 blah. We just had like a nice conversation, hey, what you doing today? Oh, I'm gonna go out later, maybe to Hyde Park, Oh, they say to you, yo, you ever been to the Strand? I said, yeah, I've been to the Strand. I went there with a cute blonde girl, and he said, oh, don't hang out, and I think that was in the East End. He said, yeah, don't hang out there at night too late, it's kind of rough, and, so he just talked regular like that. It was just, he was cool, man. He was just a nice person to chat with, and then Robin came out,
Yeah. When David Bowie called you, what did he tell you exactly? Ground control to Major Tom? Is that what he said?
I got to think it was so long ago. We joked a little bit about stuff like that. I go, when it was near the end of the phone conversation, I go something like, in clubs, do you like to go by Major Tom or something? And he laughed, and he said something to me, about, Captain Oliver or something, and he's clever. He's quick too, quick but smooth, yeah.
Of the British bands out there, there's many British bands: Jethro Tull, Led Zeppelin, Def Leppard, Supertramp. What are your thoughts on Supertramp? I listen to music from Supertramp to this day, and stuff that was recorded back in the 70s, such as Breakfast in America. This music has got no date stamp on it. You can listen to this music today, and it sounds fresh as if it's today's music. Am I alone thinking this, or do you share my thoughts, Richard?
I share. You're true. You know, again, if everybody says it, it must be true. You got 13-year-old kids buying physical graffiti, and buying goat's head soup. You know what I mean? It had staying power. That's what I'm hoping is going to go with some of my songs, like My Big Fat Balls. It's a goof song. It's funny, but it's also true about a real relationship I had in New York City. All my songs are kind of like redemption songs. They're all about real relationships I had. So they have a reality stamp to them. I didn't like make up a song or go to a thesaurus rhyming dictionary or something, and just try to make up, rhymes and stuff. I made them out of life I live. So I hope they bring people, some, you know flavor, some joy, whatever. I of course hope they dig them, but if they don't, whatever. It's I'm I don't own people's souls.
So, Richard, you've done sound engineer, you're a record producer, you're a filmmaker, you're an antique car collector. You've done just about anything you can think of. Where do we go from here, Richard? Because we're going to be closing off the show. Unbelievably, this hour just like flew right by. It flew
Yeah,
right
it was
over
cool.
the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah.
So, what's in
Film.
store? Okay, you're going to be doing a lot of film in the upcoming months and years.
Damn straight. I already made my mark in music. Not to be facetious, but now if I can make my mark in film, and if I don't, I don't. But I'm making some stuff. People already are getting joy off the script, so I hope to get joy off the movie. And I'm making a guerrilla movie on my own. I don't want to get investors. I don't want to do anything. I don't know if I could or I can. That's hard in film anyway. I had some interest in it, from like England and stuff, but I just bought the equipment myself. I'm like, you see, I'm being lit by Klieg lights. If I got to show you.
Yeah,
You
go
said
ahead.
here.
Look at
Here's
that.
Rolling Stones.
Okay, share with us what that is.
Rolling Stones, Emotional Rescue.
Oh, wow. Okay, so tell us, what you produced that record, right?
I didn't produce it. I engineered a lot on it, though. There were 26 engineers on it. We had something like 40 reels of multi-track tape. Me and Joe Blaney at Electric Lady were like doing tag team. Like one gets up from the knee and the other sits down at it. And so there were like 26 different engineers on it. They had their main engineer, and then the rest of us were worker bees. We sat there at the knee. We were recording. Set up. Do it. And we were so busy, because they had other musicians and stuff too. So we were recording one person, then all of a sudden, another drummer comes in, besides Charlie Watts, and got to do some changes on the drum set, for he's how to move their stuff around. So got to move the mics, got to do it, got to go back to Neve, got to do a sound check, got to do adjustments, and then just start recording more. So some of the projects I work on were big projects, so there was big staff. Here's DMX, which I did produce 5 times back, and then there was X.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Richard, for all of these awards and all your fine work. Just before we sign off, you got the ultimate compliment from the drummer from Aerosmith. You were doing sound engineer work on there. So share with us before we sign off what the impressions were from Aerosmith's drummer with the quality of sound he was getting from you.
Well, it's Tony Smite's studio. Bruce Nazarian, who I think was Savoy Brown or something, or he's some big hit song from way back. Known Productions. So they asked me to set up the drum sound because Aerosmith's coming in. So I got one of their assistants, and I had him at the drum set, and I did my regular drum sound. I moved the drums in the room, blah, 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 microphones, placement, skins, I went I went to the big console. I did my adjustments. I did my EQ. You know, I did my blah 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 blah. And then the drummer comes from Aerosmith, comes in and plays the drums, and he tells everybody, "Wow, this is the best drum sound I've ever had." You know, so man, it made me feel like really good because I was proud of everything I did, from drums to sax to guitar to rain sticks. I even recorded didgeridoos.
Wow.
You know, yeah.
Richard, can I ask you to stay behind backstage because we're going to be signing off right now. It's going to be our meet and greet, and it's going to be our meet and greet photo. Can we count on you to stick around for a few more minutes?
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, so stick around, Richard. I'll be getting right back to you. Just give me a couple of moments here to close off the show, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Take this opportunity to give your thoughts to the audience. You want to thank him. The platform is yours, Richard. What do you got to say to the audience?
I love the audience. They're all like atomic people. Everybody's you don't got to be a star to be atomic, you know. And that's one of my words I use with Phil Ramone. You know, when I work with him, you know, and Robert Lamb from Chicago, you know, I said atomic. Phil Ramone goes, "Oh, but he was real nice." He goes, "Can I use, with your permission, can I use atomic?" I said, "Of course, Phil. You know, we related, you know." And anyway, so, you know, I'm just saying everybody is atomic, you know. You don't have to have a platinum record. You don't have to have a Corvette. You know, you just have to be a cool person. You know, everybody is like a child of God, you know, and an atomic sentient being. You know, I've learned that from meeting stars, from meeting lots of girls, from meeting lots of guys, from doing this, from doing that, and everything I did. And now I'll sign off.
Thank you so much for being on the show. It was such a pleasure. Stick around. We'll be getting back to you, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of our show this evening. That was Richard Oliver coming to you live from Bridgeport, Connecticut in the U.S. He's a sound engineer, record producer, and a filmmaker. Such an amazing show. We urge you to join us this upcoming Wednesday when my co-host Esther Berzinski and I will be co-hosting Noon Hour Out of the Box. And the topic this week is going to be how addictions ruin your life. And you can tune in both on the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel and on the Esther's Breeze YouTube channel, as well as on my personal Facebook page. You can tune in to the extended version of Noon Hour Out of the Box every Saturday between noon and 3 p.m. Stick around. And next week, we have another great guest that's going to be joining us, Mr. Ziggy Eichenbaum, the owner of Ziggy's Pub in downtown Montreal. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, from Montreal, we're going to be signing out. We thank you so much for being part of our audience, sharing your love and all that. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel. Hit the like button and that notification bell, because every time there's a new production coming out, you will be the first to know. Be good, folks. We'll be seeing you next week. Same time, same place, same reason. Ciao.